Hello everybody, welcome back. Today is May 6th, and we're doing robot and nonsense, the two best categories in the news, I think. Do we have any space stories this week, or is it just robot? I don't think there was... Was there one story about NASA?
Maybe we do have some space stories.
Oh yeah, there was one. I remember which one.
But first, a legitimate robot and an adorable little guy. Although, usefulness? I don't know. I can think of people imagining cool ways to use this, but not for the way that it's intended.
Snap announces a mini drone called Pixy, which is a rehash of another drone that we saw. There was a drone that we saw that wrapped around somebody's arm, and then they would unsnap it, and it would fly and take a selfie and then come back. This is what that is, but even smaller.
But it lands in your palm.
Yeah.
Literally, the landing thing is it watches for a palm, and once it gets a palm under it, it lands in it.
Oh, like a little bird.
It has a follow mode, and it can do 360 shots and stuff like that. I can't wait for a time when someone, you're out, you're taking your selfie or whatever, somebody snatches the phone and starts running, and the drone goes after them because it's in follow mode.
I think this is we've seen this kind of with Star Wars before, but how many people out there would be willing to pay a non-trivial amount of money if you could get your own astromech droid that follows you around?
That would be a nightmare.
It would be a nightmare, and the people that would buy it would relish in the nightmare that it causes behind them.
A branding dream.
Which would be another reason for them to buy it, to enjoy the chaos that they create.
Well, but one thing that's going to happen with that they point out with this little drone is that's a crazy rules. Like if you take that thing to the Grand Canyon, that's illegal immediately. Yeah. Any airport, illegal immediately. I wonder if you could take that, I guess as long as it's not active, could you get that through TSA?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take them places. Well, I know like national parks. It depends on the park, but a lot of them don't allow drones of any size.
They mentioned that one as well. So, still a cool little thing, I guess, to follow you around. I don't think it has a whole lot of flight time because it's so small. Did
it mention what the resolution was on the image?
Not great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so tiny.
Yeah.
A lot of CMOS noise. Probably designed only for outdoor lighting.
Yeah. It's a little overcast. It's going to get a little grainy.
Flying a drone around indoors could be a problem anyway. Well, here is of course, we argue about the origin of humanity and life, and how did we end up so far ahead of all the other animals? We share so much in common with them, and yet here we are. How did it happen? A lot of people.
Oh, wait.
A lot of people assume it was this, although this doesn't account for the leap forward, right?
No.
This only accounts for us being like all the other animals.
All of the bases of DNA and RNA have been found in meteorites. The discovery adds to evidence that suggests life's precursors came from space. The primordial soup may have been seeded by stones from space.
But from whence did the space stones come that they were able to contain this?
Listen, the universe has been around for 15 billion years, and this planet's only been here for at most 5 of them.
I'm pretty sure the documentary Prometheus shows the guy dumping his life force into the water, and that's how the documentary. Yes.
Could it be that something exploded a long time ago and
was just covered with life?
But different kinds of chunks of life, and the good one didn't hit till later on.
That was one of the things in Star Trek, and I'm just going to point out that in Star Trek: The Next Generation, the alien that was the precursor, it's like we evolved before all life, so we seeded all kinds of worlds, blah, blah, blah. So, the Romulans and the Klingons and stuff, they're all related. That alien looks an awful lot like the shapeshifters in the Gamma Quadrant, so it was not easy to imagine that in canon, the original precursor species continued to evolve and eventually became the shapeshifters that we found in the Delta Quadrant. Maybe. Could also be that it's just the same actress.
Those are the kind of hot takes that you'll eventually be able to get. I'm not sure what the date's going to be yet. We'll shoot for May. That you might be able to get in our Star Trek Picard watch-along exclusive to Patreon and Floatplane coming soon.
It's going to be very we'll have just general takes, but Wendell will be like, here's the wider implications for the Star Trek lore.
They've already flushed all of that
down the toilet.
There's not even subtle mistakes anymore. It's just
blatantly wrong.
We just don't care.
That's the new Lord of the Rings series. Every time I see something about it, I'm like, this is wrong for this reason, this reason, this reason. But okay, if you ignore all of that history, it's not important.
Hey, that's what we do now, right? We ignore history. And in fact, we destroy it whenever we can. Well, China knows all about this asteroid business, and they're terrified. Because I guess on a long enough timeline, another big one's coming, huh? What are we going to do about it?
China hopes to redirect a nearby asteroid within the next 4 years. The space agency is also looking to develop a ground-based asteroid monitoring and warning system, which is a welcome development. Spoiler alert, the universe has a Carrington event planned for our extinction, not an asteroid. Woo!
That wouldn't be extinction. It would just be a lot of deaths. Because we're kind of reliant on the electrical grid now.
Well, it could be extinction if enough stuff gets into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I don't think we could... Even if you got underground, the food stores, I don't think would matter. I mean, that's a great piece of fiction if you want to write it. It's been done before. AI, we have learned, is really good at iterating millions and billions of times and selecting just the juiciest berries from all of those iterations. It's amazing at that, and it keeps coming up with unique formulations by doing that.
Meta's newest AI discovers stronger and greener concrete formulas. The results were stronger than the index while using 40% less carbon. That's exciting.
Have they discovered the lost Roman formula that we're still angry we've lost?
I think that also the upper blocks of the pyramids were probably constructed from concrete.
Aren't those the missing bits?
I thought they thought the top part of the pyramids was probably capped in gold, and that's why it was gone.
Missing bit.
Yeah.
Could have been the under part of that.
But I mean, just the upper level stones are probably cast, not because they're softer than the ones on the bottom.
What I want to know is, where was this technology when I was getting my basement waterproofed?
Yeah.
I've just got garden variety concrete now. Well, moon crime. We've talked about moon crime before. It's coming. We're going to be on the moon and somebody's going to commit a crime. There's lots of good TV shows about that. But
lots.
We got to think about it. What are we going to do?
Crimes on the moon could soon be added to Canada's criminal code. I can't wait for CSI Luna.
Yeah.
What's the special victims? It would have to have its own
Law and
acronym.
Order Special Victims Unit.
Moon Unit. Law and Order Moon Unit.
Some crimes are especially heinous, and they also happen to occur in space.
Yeah, it turns out Canada's answer to it is it's just Canadian law. If you're Canadian, you're on the moon, it's Canadian law. If you commit a crime on the moon, when you come back, you will be prosecuted for it under Canadian law.
What if you never come back?
It's weird how if you go to Thailand, though, they don't prosecute you for anything that you may have done there that's illegal in Canada.
Thailand is not the moon.
Very different.
I'm just saying.
Has an atmosphere, in fact.
Well, crabs and lobsters and other sea lice are low-level creatures. We know their nervous systems, their functionality is very low compared to some of the other sea life. But does that give us the authority to murder them with impunity?
Crabs and lobsters may get similar rights to mammals in UK experiments. They would be joining lobsters. Mice and octopus as well.
One of the researchers was also like, I think if we extend these rights to them in scientific settings, it should also apply for cooking.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not right to boil them alive.
His quote was very, very good. It's like, we boil millions of these alive every day. What can I do to them that's worse than that? I guess it's quick.
Depends on if you have an electric cooktop or not.
All right, put yourself in the mind of a lobster. I'm going to give you two choices. Right now, you go in the boiling pot, or we give you cancer in a lab. Which one are you taking?
Probably cancer.
Probably go for the boiling pot.
You think
really?
So? Yeah.
Why? Explain that choice. Elaborate.
It's just suffering.
Throbbing
endlessly,
pain in your right leg constantly.
Yeah, otherwise it's over in 3 minutes or less.
Oh yeah, is your leg better? Are you still suffering?
It's at the 3-week mark, it's not better, but there is still slow progress forward.
So it's probably a muscle then.
There's a glimmer of hope.
Have you researched how to do your own physical therapy?
I've been doing, I did actually a little bit of rowing machine this morning.
Okay. So that'll probably help maybe. If you do the wrong physical therapy though, it'll make it worse.
Can't win.
Maybe you can use some of those doctor NFTs to ask.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Ape. Could you take a look at my right butt cheek and tell me what's wrong with it?
Also, excuse you, it's Dr. Ape. They didn't go to medical school to be called Mr.
To Ape Medical School.
Yeah.
This actually happened. I forgot to update to the new story. because this was on March 16th. But it actually happened, I think, this last week. And do you guys know
the outcome? No.
I'll tell you the outcome after you.
Red Bull pilots will attempt to swap planes mid-air, a death-defying feat. How to watch live. So they're going to fly the planes up and point them straight at the ground and then just swap planes.
Yep, right. So the planes both go down, both guys bail, and then they swing around and get in the other plane, pull them up, right? One guy did that successfully. The other plane went into a terminal spin, hit the ground.
Oh.
But they were both people were okay.
Right, yeah, he had a parachute and like a squirrel suit and everything.
But one of the planes was decidedly not okay.
But once again, we just purposely crashed a plane.
But they had a permit.
Why are we permitting that?
Yeah, it's stupid. I assume that they probably had a fire crew on standby as well, unlike the YouTube guy.
This was a big production from Red Bull.
Couldn't we have just had them produce it in the appropriate country in Europe and just put a lot of plastique on there? And if they're successful, great. And if not, hey.
Are you talking about making this part of the war effort?
Yeah.
Are you suggesting kamikaze pilots right now?
You call up the Russians, like, look, there's going to be a lot of prep going on in this field. Don't bomb that. So we have a big plan. Yeah.
It's a Red Bull marketing effort. You'll understand.
Is Red Bull still being sold in Russia? Probably.
That's a good question. Probably.
Coke is probably still sold in Russia, right?
One of the drink companies got in big trouble because they didn't want to pull out immediately, though I think they eventually did.
Oh, wow.
But I don't remember which one it was.
Imagine the orange soda crisis if you were in Russia right now.
Ooh. Oof.
This is an interesting story because this is a Karen who is going up against a school board who is, I guess, woke. And so she's saying, well, let's do that headline.
Dakota school board member accidentally posts a porn link while advocating for abstinence.
Oof.
Board member was censured by the school board and then asked to resign on Wednesday.
So she didn't so much ask to resign, but she walked out and says, I won't be a party to this, which they interpreted as her request for resignation. They initiated the vote immediately, and it was unanimous. So I don't think she's well loved in here. But what she's saying is they're bringing in all this new, like transgender, LGBTQ curriculum type stuff, and she was fighting against it. She actually literally made a typo, and they didn't point out which domain it was, which drives me crazy. I want to know what it is. But one letter different from the domain that advocated against this stuff was literal porn.
Wow.
And she accidentally put that link in there. So it was an accident, and everybody understands that it's an accident, but I think she was just so annoying.
The headline does not indicate that.
No.
Here's a headline where you read it and you just think to yourself, how did anybody think that was a good idea?
Scientists, Japan's plan to dump nuclear waste into the Pacific Ocean may not be safe.
Can we not do that, please?
I wonder how long it took them to come up with that.
In the same way that adding lead to gasoline may not be safe.
No, I've seen, some people are like, well, it'd be just like a small portion, and it's, the ocean's so big, but it's like, do we really want to normalize that? Like just dumping waste into the oceans? We already do it, and we shouldn't do it anymore.
But this is Fukushima. Remember when Fukushima happened, we were detecting stuff on California's coast.
Yeah, and like in our fish and stuff, which eventually makes it into us.
And their approach to this is kind of just like, yeah, that was a long time ago.
It's probably decayed at least like 2% since then. It's fine. But it was scientists who are outside of like the people who are working on it who were like, hey, whoa, slow your roll. Let's maybe not do that immediately without studying it a little bit more.
Can we maybe find the deepest natural gas well that has been tapped out and doesn't contain natural gas anymore? And then just, put some concrete down there first and then put it there. So it's at the lowest possible place on Earth.
I'd like to remind you that Russians went through Chernobyl. Can read the language, speak the language. We're talked to by people who monitor that site. They're like, don't touch anything, don't move anything, don't take anything. And they did it anyway. Definitely don't breathe the dust. Yeah, so the whole idea of trying to make it safe seems just like an impossible feat. But you're advocating, does Japan even have natural gas? I don't know. Like, you're advocating keeping it in Japan. I think for the Japanese people, the major advantage of this plan is it goes away. Yeah, it just disappears. If we put it in the ocean, we don't have to track it anymore. They've got some new islands they could put it on. Did they actually get them? No. They've been fighting with China, Russia for it. Those are the China islands, right? No, Russia has some islands that are disputed. Oh, you're talking about those contested. Yeah. Yeah, just drop it off there.
I bet they couldn't spare anybody to come out there and do anything about it, right?
I think that's the plan, yeah.
And whenever they're like, oh my God, look at all the Russian people having radiation damage, you're like, oh no, that's from the Chernobyl keepsakes. It's not our stuff. It's funny when, we're in this new woke world, and when it comes to gender and equality and stuff like that, you really got to watch your mouth, which when people say things like this, just makes you scratch your head.
Katharine
What a name.
Birbalsingh?
I think you went pretty good there.
Girls dislike hard math. That says education advisor.
As someone who's worked with women who are actually really good at math, I don't think that's universally true.
Yeah, and she just kept digging. She said that it was a subject girls tend not to fancy. I just think they don't like it. Universally, all women?
Yeah.
I mean, have they not seen the movie Hidden Figures? Or heard about like the NASA computer?
Or just worked with any women who actually are good at math? There's quite a few. I'm not one of them, but there are lots. There
were quite a few women that were amazingly good at math even before the turn of the 20th century. And then it only sort of became weirdly taboo.
There's a thought process about why that might be, and it used to be because things like computers, it was considered secretarial work. And then all of a sudden when it became white collar, all of a sudden it was oh, this is prestigious, now men want to do this job. Yeah. And then it switched. That's the idea. I don't know that that's true, but that's a theorized idea.
You know what I was heartened by is how many, and this doesn't mean anything, the name, just our interpretation of it, but there was a lot of female names donating to us during our live stream.
Yeah. There's dozens of us. Yeah.
We're advocating that your people are not awful to one another, no matter what their personal situation might be.
Krista, I'm thinking,
so revolutionary.
Based on the number of people who donate versus the number of people who watch, that ratio is so high. There could be hundreds.
Oh wow! I haven't checked our Twitter stats in a while. I should see if they're still proportionally high compared to other tech channels.
One thing that it's crazy is how easy it is just with a glance to identify someone who's seriously on meth.
Yeah. There's a look.
They've the chin and the nose just get closer and closer as you get deeper into meth.
The teeth too, if you open your mouth.
But here's a you got to give it up to the sheriff, right?
Yeah. No one is immune or exempt. Sheriff arrests his own daughter for meth trafficking.
I mean, good for him if that's a quote from him. I mean, that's what he should be doing.
I have a feeling this was probably not a surprise for him.
No, he said it was a surprise because they were interrogating somebody and they were like, all right, where's this meth coming from? And the answer was his daughter.
Wow.
She was trafficking. That's great. That seems like, is that the meth right there? It's hard to see because it's the same color as the bag,
It's not blue. It's not Heisenberg meth.
That seems like a lot.
How much? I don't know anything about drugs. How much do you need to smoke?
The meth pipes are they're small, right? I think you take a little rock.
Oh, so you could use that for quite a while. That's quite the stash.
Or if you're doing IV, you dissolve it in a spoon. Again, it can't be a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's not good.
So that's a lot of meth, I think. Engagement challenge.
If you're a meth head, tell us in the comments below. On an anonymous account.
That was like a $20 million bust.
Well, they always overestimate the price of the drug. Here was a terrifying story. Now, of course, none of us have any children in the school system, or I don't ever deal with children. I was astonished to learn this. This is a crazy, horrible new thing that we're doing.
The price kids pay. Schools and police punish students with costly tickets for minor misbehavior.
As far as I know, I have cousins who are in the public school system, but they're all high school level. They don't have to deal with anything like this. At least not that I've heard them mention. They may just be good kids, but...
So, truancy, you miss school, right? Oh, that's not allowed. $200. And you have to miss school to go to court.
Adding to your truancy record.
Sophia vape pen, $175.
One of my cousins did get caught with a vape pen a few years ago, and the school wasn't happy about it, but they did not make him pay money.
Pushing somebody in the cafeteria, $250. So they're pointing out that now it's illegal for the school to charge money for penalties. So instead, they don't punish the students. They just call the cops every time.
God, but school is a nightmare.
When it comes to truancy, that's also illegal, but nobody cares because the city's making money. The school doesn't have to worry about disciplining anybody, and the cops are staying busy.
I remember when detention meant like you'd have to clean the chalkboards or...
Yeah, you just went to detention after school or something. I think that's what my cousin did when he got caught with a vape pen. He had to do detention.
And then they switched to in-school suspension.
Yeah.
So they would take you out of your classes.
Alternative placement is what they called that. In which case you just did worksheets all day. And it's like, what?
The school system is just
it's a nightmare.
The health system, the school system, the immigration system. We don't have any systems that work. Except for Wall Street. And that's not working for us. Remember EgyptAir?
I remember the plane crash.
It was a huge mystery, and everybody was like, "Oh, what happened?" We thought maybe there was a missile. There was all kinds of stuff. It's like, "Oh, who did this?"
The one that went straight down, right?
No,
that was in China.
No, this was a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
But now we have learned, and oh boy, is it a crazy... Now, is that legal?
No, because every plane I've ever been on has like a sign that's like no smoking, no smoking.
But I'm thinking like maybe in Egypt they're like, don't worry about it.
But there's probably a good reason they tell you not to smoke on a plane.
I
think this points it out, doesn't it?
EgyptAir plane crash killed 66, likely caused by pilot cigarette, documents reveal. Now, a lot of those Boeing planes were actually designed with smoking in mind. Because that was
the ones built during the 70s.
Yeah, everyone smoked back then.
So they believe what happened is the co-pilot nicked his oxygen mask, which started venting pure oxygen into the room, or the cockpit. And then as soon as the other pilot lit up, everything burst into flame. The black box detected smoke right before it went down, but only in the cockpit.
Ooh, man.
So it was probably a little burst of fireball, and then that was it.
Do you think that
what a horrible way to go.
Do you think the co-pilot like raised any? Is like, hey, Mustafa, maybe not right now. You know? Could you maybe have a piece of gum or something?
No, because they've probably done it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine.
How do the rest of the people in the plane? Is the filtration that good? That
they would almost certainly smell it. You can smell cigarette smoke.
And no one can open the security door in order to...
the
to bust them.
Door reinforcements.
This next story is like science gone too far.
This is obviously a pure marketing stunt. But when I read about it, they said these were like honey clusters. I can't imagine what they did to them to make it okay, right? Anything honey or sweet.
Tropicana creates a cereal to be mixed specifically with orange juice.
Milk shortage incoming.
Every day we strive harder.
Isn't orange juice more expensive than milk?
Yeah.
Maybe they know there's a milk shortage coming and they're trying to push this now. They're getting ahead of the market.
They previously did a toothpaste, because the other thing is like orange juice and toothpaste can't be mixed. They're trying to destroy those negatives about orange juice.
This has to be something where like the next generation, like the CEO's son or whatever has come into power, and he's like, I've got this idea. It's a little unconventional, but let's try it. And no one is willing to just tell him, no, that's not how we run the cereal business.
Probably not his son, probably his mistress.
I've always just wanted cereal that goes well with orange juice. I used to eat that as a kid.
That's because you're damaged goods.
Yes, sweetie, of course. Oh, yeah. Just go to the lab and tell them that, and they'll do it.
And some poor lab worker's like, I have a PhD for this.
Krista, what's the name of that art thing where you go and you take river stones and you stack them in weird stacks?
Art? Oh, that's just called if you hadn't asked me, cairn. People will do that like in wilderness areas. You should not do that, FYI, especially in streams, because that takes away valuable salamander habitat.
Oh, the salamanders.
Yeah.
So instead, what you should do is you should use snack foods instead.
A gravity-defying act. Man stacked 7 M&Ms to break previous Guinness World Record of 6.
We're really stretching for nonsense stories.
We should have got some M&Ms so we could have tried it live on the news.
Look at his little finger thimble things that he uses.
He's got dedicated hardware for this feat.
That is amazing.
I've never tried to stack even 2.
I bet you couldn't do 3.
Wow. That's rude of you to assume. But
he stacked other things. He stacked eggs. 18 eggs.
Wow.
On his hand. On the back of his hand. That seems harder than the M&Ms, right?
Yeah. He should be in the Guinness World Record for that.
He is. Yeah. Although that's tied. Somebody else did that as well.
Does anybody look at those books anymore? Are they still popular at the Scholastic Book Fair?
This woman has the largest mouth in the world.
Is that natural, or is that
how would you
augmented?
How would you modify that? You just like do the Joker cuts and then...
Well, I'm thinking like, yeah, like there's all kinds of weird plastic surgeries you can get now. So who knows?
I hope that it's natural. I hope that they don't count it unless it's natural.
Yeah, it's like, what if she has fillers or something?
Do you think that she's looking for a wide-mouthed man so that they can take it even further in the next generation?
Totally just like a fish.
And the old pet stories, they never get old in the nonsense section. This one's particularly crazy.
Woman marries pet cat in bid to stop landlords separating them. She's fundamentally the most important thing in my life after my children.
There he is. That's India. Actually, it's a she. And here's the thing about India. She goes through this whole article. She's like, oh, I couldn't live without India. She's my partner, blah, 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 blah. But these pictures are carefully curated to not show us that she does, in fact, spend some time away from India because India was allowed to go to the road where it lost a leg. Yeah.
Oh.
So maybe after the nuptials, she'll spend more time with India. But the landlord gave her a special dispensation to get this cat, and now that's been canceled for some reason. You get the idea she might be a little bit annoying. Not the cat. Cat's adorable.
Maybe she doesn't clean up after it.
We saw a lot of weird... people let their guard down for sure when we started doing governance via Zoom. Remember that? And maybe
take a shower.
We had a story like
meeting.
Every week where someone was like nude on camera by accident,
or watching something and the microphone was picking it up, or it was just all kind of craziness. I think that relaxed attitude might still have infected some people as they go back to the actual buildings.
Tory MP accused of watching porn in Commons chamber. There's pictures.
Is there a picture in this one?
Thanks, BBC.
Or you just want to picture him?
Oh no! When I was looking at this on mobile, it was there was like an over-the-shoulder shot, and it was like, oh.
Yeah, she claims that he was literally next to her.
Yeah.
Just enjoying it during the time.
Scary.
So.
Why? Why does this happen?
Well, I'm sure it's boring to sit there through all of that. The Ukrainian refugee situation is something that's been very contentious. A lot of countries were slow, like the UK, for example, was very slow to change their immigration policy. But finally, they do seem to be doing something about it. However, what they're doing may be a little insensitive.
Germany to evict existing Afghan refugees for clearing out accommodation centers for arriving Ukrainians. Ugh.
You know, it's not quite as politically advantageous for us to house you right now. We've got someone new for that. So I'll see you later. Now, they have been there for a long time. I mean, how long do you give somebody free housing in refugee situations? Shouldn't they be able to sort of like...
It depends, I guess, how quickly they can get a job and stuff. You have to learn the language, too, if you're not familiar with English, or like if they were coming to the UK. I guess this is Germany.
It's a little dark.
Yeah.
It's not about what's right. About what's popular. And this, I hope, is unpopular, although I do recognize the damage that feral animals can cause. And it does make me angry when people have barking dogs outside their home. I suppose this is still in the same manner. But what a severe way to deal with it.
Feral cat season in Licking County. Prosecutor proposes permanent solution to the cat problem. It's not good.
Would you say it's a final solution to the cat problem?
Yeah.
It kind of is, yeah.
But I wonder, there would have to be a bounty, right? Because there's no advantage to killing a cat. Like, you can't harvest anything from a cat, right? I guess you could get the furs.
I mean, things are probably going to get weirder this coming year, so maybe you start eating the cat meat. But
it's literally going to lead to people breeding cats to get the bounty because they need the income.
Yeah, that's really terrible, right?
Yeah.
Cat farms just for the bounty. What do you think you'd have to turn in to get the cat bounty? A head?
I feel like the easier thing here is just to have free clinics to neuter them.
Well, they claim they're trying that. Also, look at this little guy.
Oh, that's a good kitty.
Unconscious. They're double fisting these spays and neuters right here. They're getting so many. But
I've been trying to catch the barn cats whenever I see them to see if we can take them, get them fixed, but they will not come to us.
You have a barn?
Well, our neighbors have a barn. And the cats just roam the countryside freely.
Are you thinking about getting them fixed?
I would like to get them fixed if we could ever catch one.
You got to get one of those spring traps. Cats will definitely get into
Go
a
into
spring trap.
that.
They can't, like, they're so curious.
It seems like a box.
Well,
I need to check out the box. Oh, what have I done?
The other weird thing about this is like some of those cats do belong to people. So it's like it's hard to know, is this cat just someone's cat they've let outside, or is this one of the just feral cats running around the neighborhood?
If you're not taking the cat, you're just spaying the cat, like, that'd be fine, right?
I would think, but don't I guess when we had Cricket fixed, we had to like make sure he wasn't licking the site and stuff, so you have to kind of monitor them for a little while, I thought. I don't know.
Give us your experiences with
feral cat management.
Guerrilla cat spaying in your neighborhood. Now, this is a Milwaukee.com or on Milwaukee.com story, so they have a Milwaukee focus. In fact, number 1 was Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
Great. Wisconsin has the fattest dog.
Asterisk.
No. What?
Pennsylvania.
But they made it sound like they did. They lied. Bad journalism. How big was the average? How overweight?
So they...
A survey, again, anyone who answers a survey like this, probably not a great indicator, but...
Wisconsin's ranked first. Oh, male dogs. They have the most male dogs. According to the survey, our male dogs weigh 20 pounds over the average.
Whoa.
That's a lot.
That is, I was thinking it was going to be like a small percentage or something. That's significant.
Is it because Wisconsin is so cold that if you had a small dog, it would just freeze to death?
Maybe.
But they're thinking average for breeds, too, I would assume.
It's not the size of the dog. It's how much fatter they are than the average. So, I mean, it makes sense, right? But the cold, like the dogs probably, you're not taking them out for exercise that much. You're just feeding them cheese all the time.
Well, I was thinking, too, so the people who respond to this, like the 2,000 people, probably old people at home who don't have a lot going on. And old people are notorious for overfeeding animals. Source, my mom.
And not being able to exercise.
Yeah. Every time my mom comes over, Rue gets so excited because Rue gets French fries. Every time.
Well,
table scraps.
There's just always French fries available?
Oh, my mom sometimes will get French fries and then give Rue some.
Oh, wow.
And she also does that with her neighbor's dogs, too, who she dog sits for every now and then.
Does she know how bad French fries are for anything that eats them?
Yeah. Well, but she loves them. And Rue does love a French fry. And
our final story is a big callback from a long time ago. One of our favorite...
We've done a few updates about this guy.
Yeah, I think he might be the single most, other than like Elon Musk,
that we talk about in the news.
Maybe Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos.
But maybe the one that we have the most pleasant feelings about. Yeah. It's weird, but I hope the best for him.
It's a harmless sort of weird, all things considered.
Well, let's hope that it's harmless. But for now, it's not anything, because unfortunately, he put his whole entire world into this faith in one company, and what have they done? Walked away.
They let him down. You remember that guy who married the hologram? Well, he says he can't communicate with the hologram anymore. She's malfunctioning.
Hatsune.
But he still loves her. How long until the bulb burns out? You think that's easy to replace?
Probably not.
It's going to be a sad day for him.
Well, I guess he'll be a widower. How quickly do you think he moves on? When is it okay to move on from your hologram?
In fact, Krista, he has these plushies, and he has a full-size Hatsune Miku doll now.
Oh, okay. So even if the hologram goes away.
Right. But
her memory lives on.
But he married the hologram, I think.
Ooh.
I don't know how that works when you have different physical representations of your wife.
Also, how does that work for tax law? Does he get any tax breaks?
She doesn't actually earn anything. Although, isn't she a pop star?
Yeah. Is he... He makes a claim that he's like, I'm owed money for rights to her songs.
Is it a ship of Theseus problem? Where it's like, is that really your wife?
Well, if the company gave him a brand new unit, is that his wife?
I mean... Did you load the software? Is that a clone? I don't know. So bizarre.
I don't know. Discuss amongst yourselves.
When it comes to marry in 2D, you don't think about these things, right? You think it's going to be all fun and games, but no. It's hard, like a regular marriage.
Estate planning with Level 1 tax.
Estate planning when you're
married to a hologram.
Your spouse is a hologram.
2D estate planning. All right.
Well, that's it.
Well, that's it. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of Level 1 News. Bye!